And hello, everybody. You're live Monday night with Sherry Schreiner. It is November 19th. And I really didn't know what I was going to talk about tonight, so I just asked the Lord to help me be a blessing to Him and just help me to be His mouthpiece and say what He wants me to say and lead me into what He wants me to talk about. And He led me into several different stories tonight that I want to go over that caught my eye last week while I was going through internet emails. Interesting pieces of information. And so I want to get into this. First of all, I want to tell you about an update on the transcription page. If you'd rather read the interview, I know there's a huge deaf crowd out there on the internet. Some of them are on some of my lists. And I used to transcribe the shows a couple of years ago, and the guy who was transcribing the shows got busy. And so I hadn't had him transcribed for a long time. And recently someone else has stood up for the Lord to transcribe these shows for him. And a large part of the community that otherwise wouldn't be able to hear what's going on in the shows. And so it's been a huge blessing to have this person transcribing my shows. And you can go to SherryTalkRadio and click on the transcribe page. It's on the right. You'll see a couple of shows that have already been transcribed. I have the link by the audio links. So you can sit and read the shows. And she recently sent me she had transcribed the interview I had with Stuart Harrison from theedgeam.com that I did last week. And so the transcription of that show is now up on the site. Also last week's show and the week before. And she also did one on Religion is Mind Control, the audio I did on that. And so it's just been a huge blessing to have these transcribed. And they also help just to get passed around so people that can't listen to the shows can read up on them and see what I've been saying. I tend to talk a lot more on these shows than I do on my own lists during the week. I spend a lot of time on the computer, but a lot of time just spent staring at the screen. I don't know if you guys get into that too, where you just sit and stare and then you just wonder, well, where's the Lord going to lead me? What does He want me to do? And then you head back out to the garage to make more orgo. I know I do. A lot of orgone orders in this week. A lot of people, Lord standing up, a lot of people, not much time left to get orgone out in the areas. I've been harping on that for years, especially on the show the last couple of weeks, is that time is just getting so short and I can't hide it anymore. I can't even leave the state and I'm not completely hounded by tech weapons and federal agents, and anywhere I'm staying becomes a Fed zoo of alphabet agencies. Everything you can imagine is there, and so it's getting harder and harder for me to leave the state, and so people need to stand up and get areas that need orgoned. I've been targeting lakes, rivers, Air Force bases, military bases. I've been waiting for warriors to get Washington, D.C., since I wasn't able to get out there. They managed to delay my trip there, but I'm just going to have faith in the Lord that area will get done. Yeah, Potomac River, the Hudson River, the Ohio River, the Colorado River, all these rivers need done. Lake Lanier in Atlanta. Just so much that needs done, folks, and so little time to do it. Bush planning, threatening to attack Iran next year. I was reading an article about a troop call-up of 80,000 for January. If he's planning on having some kind of a troop call-up in January, then he's going to need a false flag operation to justify it. I know Ken Welch sent out an alert this week for a Thanksgiving Day attack. And I think if they're going to try to shift the focus off of oil and into a religious war, which is what Ken Welch seems to indicate that they're going to do, it seems more than likely it would be a Christmas Day attack than a Thanksgiving Day attack. And I'm not saying there's not going to be an attack, or there is, one way or the other, for Thanksgiving. The Lord hasn't told me anything about an attack, but you get the kind of feeling that eventually things are going to get rolling. Eventually. And so it just makes more sense, pieces of the puzzle if they would attack Christmas Day, if they want to make it a religious war, and say, oh, we were attacked by the Muslims simply because we're a Christian democratic nation. You can almost hear it now, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's all I can say. But in the meantime, telling warriors to get prepared. We had preparation years for 2 years, and this wasn't even one of them. This year would have been the year where things were really going to start rolling, and so far, for a year that things are going to start rolling, and they have behind the scenes. But in the physical reality that we can see, it's been pretty quiet. And so it's been a surprising, another preparation type year. But it's not always going to be this way. The Lord has always said, when the events start, boom, it's just going to come really fast. They're going to happen one right after the other. And so we can enjoy the lull time. And I'm not sure exactly what enjoying lull time is. Maybe it's for some of you. Definitely feeling the heat around me. Government agents around all the time. And they usually stay hidden. So the mere fact that they want to be seen, they want me to see them, it's just usually just a form of intimidation tactics. Don't forget we're here, we're watching you, whatever that is. I really don't care, and so it's just, you start to feel the noose, they're coming after the big mouths. And not just me, several others on the internet, under attack by the same tech weapons that I've been under attack, with. I know Ray Lynn over at RumorMillNews.com and Teresa, who runs SurfingTheApocalypse.com, both under the same attacks I've been under. You've got the heat wave, the satellite weapons they use, and interestingly enough, somebody sent me a link to the Telegraph, the UK Telegraph newspaper online. And the headline was, Pioneering Heat Wave Gun May Be Used in Iraq. And so they're talking like this is a new weapon they have for crowd control and disbursement and stuff like that, instead of having to use bullets and plastic bullets. And I thought that was almost a joke, because they've been using this on civilians for years. I've heard of them killing people with these weapons. And they fried me like a chicken in Taos, New Mexico with this weapon. They hammered me in St. Louis. They hammered me in Akron, Ohio. They were totally, on my trip out west last June, I was just totally targeted and fried with this thing. And there's no way they can hit you when you're on the road other than by satellites. And so they not only have this in gun form, which they talk about the heat wave gun, they operate this thing from satellites. And so, very interesting, that, they're finally trying to come out with more, public, perception on it and conditioning. We have this heat gun and we're going to start using it on crowds. And I've got news for you. They've been using it on people for years. And the internet crowd being the last ones lately to really get a taste of what this heat gun is. I don't know what this article is saying in specifics, but I can tell you what it does, and it's that it fries. It literally feels like you're on fire. You're totally on fire, but your skin isn't burning. The miraculous thing was, when I was in my hotel room in Taos, New Mexico, my curtains were open just a crack, maybe 1 inch wide. And they managed to get a beam right through that crack. And at the time they were shooting my head with it, I had just bent down to pick something up out of my suitcase. And we all saw this beam of light hit the wall right over my head. My boys were shocked by it. And, I knew exactly what that thing was. Surprised that they would be so brazen. And 2 seconds later, bent down to pick something else out of my suitcase, and boom, here came that heat wave again, that beam, and it just missed my head again by inches. And so I know that was the Lord just confirming that the hotel we were in was turning into quite a zoo. And I never saw them out in the parking lot where they would be sitting.